Good day to you. Today we are going to have a little discussion on the California fire, the Los Angeles fire. We know the damage is huge. Many houses have been burned down to the ground. They were reasonably rich people, very rich people maybe, but it's a terrible tragedy. How could this happen? People have made different comments. There is an incident in the Word of God about a phenomenon like this. There is also speculation that it may be global warming. The California fire, the Los Angeles fire, was described as a fire tornado because the way the fire shot from one place to another, almost 1 kilometer away, and jumped the river, jumped the usual natural boundaries that are there to prevent fire spreading, all were violated. There's a vengeance in the way the fire spread. So how do we understand a phenomenon like that? We have also seen in clips during the Golden Globe Awards how they said there is a godless city, and that city and in the awards that many got shout outs, some 12 times and so on, but God didn't get a shout out. The Creator God got 0. That's how they named it, and also that lady said it's a godless city. So what happens if God completely leaves a city? Just a theory. If God is there and He leaves a city, what happens? Firstly, we need to understand what might God have given a city for its protection, for its structure. God has given resources. God has given families. And family is God's forward defense line to raise up a city. So parents, grandparents, children, sometimes 4 generations living together in a city. The boomers, the X generation, the bridge generation, the Xennials, the 45-year-olds, who made a bridge between the pioneering generals who were very tough commanders, but they made our world, they made the professional structures, they made the business structures, and thankfully the 45-year-olds, those who are 45 now, they managed to make a bridge. They are called Xennials, or the bridge generation, because they made a bridge between the older and the millennials. Then of course you have the Gen Zs who want to do to be CEOs soon, start their own business, startup enterprises. Then you have the Alpha generation, the 16-year-olds, and then now they are describing a Beta generation, but the Alpha generation is very digitized, and they don't think the structures that are there now will fit them at all. So in a city, when God has made many defense lines, many good structures for family and then for economics, seniors who pioneered, make business places, found workplaces. Now we know in Los Angeles, the film industry is a major employment. So how do we look at this? What are other cities where casinos may be the main entertainment and the main industry, the main economic resources? What about pedophilia? That has become a major industry and money spinning going on. And similarly pornography or human trafficking. I'm naming some industries that everybody will agree are not industries man must be involved in. Gambling. Then what about the drug industry, addictions and the drugs that are being sold about? What about the armament industry, which is the largest turnover industry in the world? Then pharmaceuticals, necessary and unnecessary, the fashion industry. So there are many industries that I have named earlier which are completely, what shall I say, not good for humanity, work against humanity. And then the philosophies that are attached to some of the industries, breaking family structures, divorce and remarriage becoming quite common. People are not violating God's diktat for lifelong family, lifelong marriage relationships, to raise up children, father and mother together, father being biological male, mother being biological female. So when all these structures get violated, what do you expect God to do? Does God leave a city? Here is an example from probably from about 2000 BC. This is how it is. On the day that Lot went out from Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Now, don't be disbelieving. This only says that the lava that arose from a volcano went up and came down. So it looked as if fire falling from heaven. So there's archaeological evidence on the eastern southern area of the Dead Sea of a lava eruption, former earthquake and a volcanic eruption, and that's why the Dead Sea is also called the Salt Sea, full of salts, phosphates and sulfurs. Sulfur, definite evidence of a former volcanic eruption, and there is also evidence of a former civilization, habitation, lots of houses buried, many layers underneath in rubble and so on. So where Sodom was and Gomorrah was and what happened there is history recorded in the Bible, and it is also archaeology proving that what the Bible said about Sodom and Gomorrah did happen. Now, why did it happen? Because we were told that Sodom was a city that pioneered in sodomy. That's how the name sodomy comes. So this is a situation where Abraham pleaded with God, saying, save that city. Abraham was alive at that time, and God said, okay, if there are 10 people who will follow the family dictates, follow the standards, the guidelines, if you want family law that I have given, I will save the city. But there was none, not one. And Lot, Abraham's nephew, had gone from outside and settled there and became reasonably powerful, rich, wealthy, and a voice was in the city, but increasingly he couldn't tolerate the moral pollution of the city. And when God was asking him to vacate, he wouldn't vacate because his interests were there. And then when he was trying to vacate, those men of the city was banging on his door to rape him because they were you know what. And then there was divine intervention. So this is the story of Sodom. This comes to light to us. This comes to consideration. Why would Los Angeles go through such a terrific fire? Even yesterday, winds increased and new areas of fire setup came up. We are very sad about it. We tremble about this. We know in 2004, when we had the tsunami, our nation also got into some kinds of rumble, and then we had the tsunami, and Gaul was the city that was worst affected. Many said, why? How? Where was God? So where is God in a tragedy? It is easy to understand man-made tragedies, for instance, landslides. Now when we build huge reservoirs and water begins to soak into the hillsides, they begin to slip. Or we make a roadway through mountains, not recognizing the natural contours that give geometric, physical weight bearing to mountains, then the earth begins to slip. So we can do, obviously physically oxymoron things, and then when landslides happen, we can say, where is God? Then we find earth becoming old, and between tectonic plates there are earthquakes happening, and some areas where right in the middle of the tectonic plate, which has weakened and erupting. So they are saying a new continent is being carved out of part of India and some sides of Africa, because there's a tectonic plate splitting up. We don't know what it will become, but scientists are telling us that things that have never happened before are happening now. So in the case of the California Los Angeles fire, we are all grieved, but we take this to heart. When people of the city say, we do not want God in our city, this is a godless city, it gave no shout out to God, he got zero. So what if God is, and he who gave resources for a city, watch over a city's development, and he is asked to leave, what if he takes it seriously and leaves the city? This is the question any reasonable person need to ask, whether you believe in God or not. And then we have Psalm 127, which tells us if God does not protect the city, what might happen to the city? This is how it goes. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it. Unless the Lord guards the city, the watchman keeps awake in vain. So there is a promise that God keeps the guards, the boundaries, the resources for a city. And there are ancient cities that have erupted like this. Pompeii was the most famous luxuriant city of that time in 63 BC, but it was also a terribly promiscuous city with all kinds of moral pollution going on, and that was the famous polluted city. Everyone went there for that kind of activity, and Vesuvius erupted, and hot lava completely encased many parts of the city. And to recent times they are finding out embalmed mummies taken out of the city because that hot lava completely destroyed Pompeii, the most famous city of that time. So these are some examples of cities that became well documented in history. So it is with caution we say, why California fires? We are all grieved. So there is a time to turn to the Good Shepherd who died on the cross, and all our grief, all human error, all what man has done against man came upon him. If you want, I am Dr. Lalith Mendis. If you want a document or a little booklet about the present changes, please send me a WhatsApp to 0742115011. I can send you the soft copy or post to you a very small document. Here is one more piece of evidence that you need to consider before you dish God out. This is Jesus Christ speaking in one of his last sermons, on the Sermon on the Mount of Olives. In his last week, this is what he said. He said, this is how he said it. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, that there will be signs in the sun and moon and stars. So this is Luke 21:25. When will the earth show signs of wear and tear? When Israel has got back Jerusalem. Until the times of Gentiles are fulfilled, Jerusalem will be under other powers, other nations. But when Jerusalem's time has come for Israel to come back, Israel will get Jerusalem until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. So in 1967 AD, Israel got Jerusalem. Soon after that, it is said there will be signs in the earth and the moon and star, earth dismay among nations, and perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves. So the ocean issues are predicted by Jesus Christ in 33 AD, long before it happened. And it is also said that Israel will return to Jerusalem, having not had it for centuries. Soon after that phenomenon happened, which happened in 1967, he's also listing out things that would follow that, such as the perplexity of the roaring of the oceans and the waves, men fainting from fear, and the expectation of things which are coming upon the world, so that in spite of advanced science, people will come across problems that science cannot solve. To this also is added that there will be increasing frequency of earthquakes, and there will be plagues that have not been known before. So few more pieces of evidence I cited just for us to understand we need to take God seriously and his word. Even though we might have been atheists all this time, as I was, till I got through the advanced level, examination in Sri Lanka, and I was a student at St. Thomas's College, and in 1970, December advanced level, I became first in the island, taking for my subjects zoo, botany, chemistry, physics, and I entered Colombo Medical Faculty, and I was batch top in every examination. Just before entering the Colombo Medical Faculty, I came to a personal understanding that God's word is true and Jesus Christ is the Good Shepherd who died on the cross. If you want to know more about it, I'm very happy to send you a little clip on it. And if you want consultation for the brain screen problem, digitization of your child, or about learning difficulties, or about migraine, those are the areas in which I have researched, please ask for a consultation free of cost by giving a telephone call to 077-151-2801. But if you want any clips on science, spirituality and reason, or my usual subject, brain and screen balance, please send a WhatsApp to +94 74 211 5011, +94 74 211 5011. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis.